Welcome to the Murphy, Sam, and Jodi After the Show podcast.
Dumbest thing to put in a work email. I came across this and I thought Murphy would be the perfect person to help us with what to put in. Once we know what not to put in, the weakest statement, and we'll get to it. I thought maybe, you are.
I'll try.
When it comes to the written word and in business, Murphy's the man. Is he not?
Yeah, as long as he's not doing voice to text.
Oh, yeah, that's...
Boy, man, that's a mistake and a half sometimes.
You've been inappropriate with that accidentally.
Well, I caught it before I sent it. Thank God.
Something about wanting a lady to join you in a bath or something. Remember? You said... it was supposed to be that she was supposed to get back to you, but something in bath.
Where I said, yeah. No, it came out like I'll see you in the bathtub, something like that. That was not... But yeah, I don't remember what the sentence was supposed to be, but I also had... I think there was one, her name was Jackie, and I was dictating that into, hey, Jackie, I need blah, 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 and it came out, hey, sexy. Yes, you've got to be so careful with voice to text. Anyway, so that's rule number one, but I know that's not where you're going with this.
All right, dumbest phrase to put into an email. This is according to a breakdown of work communication etiquette. So I only have the things that are not strong. So the reason I bring it up is I want you to tell us what would be the better replacements here. What would work better?
I'll try.
What's not so strong is per our conversation is apparently not that strong. I know you're busy, but I don't like that. I mean, it shows that you're thinking of the other person, but there's something about it that's throwaway or...
It's like, I know you're busy, but can I get an answer?
The weakest words to write in an email and send, the weakest way to check in on a project or check on something is just checking in. Sometimes that'll be even in the subject, apparently. I didn't make this up. This is, communication etiquette.
I know what I'm using from now on.
Yeah. I mean, to me, just checking in is not that much of is not a big deal because that is what you're doing. It's a nudge. It's a gentle reminder.
Sure.
So I can see how that one may be overused.
It's weak. They just say it's a weak way to get someone to, give you an update. It does not create any action. Just checking in almost feels like it's a weak way to say, how's it going?
If you don't add anything else, but if you're saying, hey, just checking in, I know we talked about having this this Friday, how are things coming along? Whatever. I don't.
So do you ever use just checking in?
I probably do from time to time. I do consciously avoid the word but because I do think the word but is you negate everything before that. That goes for speech. That's why the world is better off when you're yes and versus but. Yes, but. As soon as you say but, you've chopped your conversation off in midstream, and everything before that
doesn't matter.
Lost. Yeah.
So funny. However, does however work?
Yeah.
Instead of but?
Yeah, I mean.
It's a long way to say but.
Yeah, it is. And sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes if you're trying to course correct something where, you're starting it off and saying, however, this is the outcome we need.
Oh, see, that would not.
I know you're trying to do it this way. However, that's the wrong way.
Yeah, that's the way Sam would prefer it. Well, yeah, it's actually direct that way, It's just not effective, I guess.
Trying to course correct. See, this is why you're so great. And another reason that you're so great with the written word is you're a natural leader anyway. So in conversation, you do really well. But even better with the written word in emails because you can... if it comes out of your mouth face to face with someone, you can't take it back, and you may have slipped and said "but" or whatever.
Yeah.
But in email, you can edit or read it before you send it and correct.
Which is really the most important thing you should do before you send an email anyway, because there's something about something being in writing that is really pretty permanent. You know what I mean?
I got to ask you that. How many times do you reread?
Oh.
Does it depend on what you're sending?
Yeah, it depends on what I'm sending. And, I have to refine what I'm doing because the way that my brain tends to work, and I speak the same way, I tend to I'm not a good word economy person until I actually go back through and streamline, what I'm sending. So
that's important to be brief.
Right, exactly. And in today's world especially, there's some people that if you do more than one line, they're not going to see the rest. It's really weird if you've tried that. Even if you do a bullet point list of things where you're trying to give some direction, you can see how taxed some people are because they don't go past the first or second line.
It's true. How many times
they'll come back with a question that you actually answered already or things like that. So I really the world has changed, so the way that I edit email has changed for that reason, to try to be as brief as possible. If it needs more explanation, then it either needs to be a phone call, a Teams chat, or some sort of follow-up, something else, that says, hey, what do you do? The conversation starter to where you know that you've got the person who's receiving it captive to be able to follow up on the rest. So, it probably depends. The more serious the email and the more impact, the longer I do spend refining it, because when I write it first and then I read it from the perspective of the person receiving it.
Smart.
That's my filter, and it's easier for me to do that in writing. I think it is.
It
honestly.
is. That is one of your absolute your superpowers. Is if we have a situation here with Murphy, Sam, and Jodi, and all that we do, and we don't know how to answer it, we wait for Murphy to answer it. You're the business mind, and you definitely in writing. You don't want me writing it. Well, I'm just more casual.
I appreciate you saying that. And then there's nothing wrong with being casual. I think being too formal can also alienate people. If you use too much of the corporate speak and that sort of thing, eventually people kind of glaze over.
Yes, they do.
But I mean, for me, it's the way that I am in life naturally. Diplomacy, that's my thing. Ever since I was a kid, honestly, my friends, Randy and Carol, they'll tell you that. They always called me the diplomat. I was the one, in the friend group that kind of just, I'm just wired that way. So when I'm writing or I'm speaking or, working with a group of others or a team that you're leading, you want to be impactful, but you want to be diplomatic. And sometimes that's really, really difficult to do if you have to address a really sensitive issue, or if you need urgent action and somebody's not taking care of business, but you still want to motivate. Because, a terse email that all it does is,
it gives you relief immediately, maybe. But
right, exactly. But it puts the other person on the defense, and it doesn't really move anything forward.
Correct. And don't ever send an emotional email.
Right.
Another.
Yeah. So I don't know that there are any magic secrets to it other than the thing that, the basics that we've all been taught. Don't hit send until you really know that's what you mean, and probably don't write. If you're mad about something, write it, don't send it. Don't put anybody's name in the to column, and then come back to it later and see if that's really still the way you feel.
If that's the way you want to communicate.
Right.
Okay, so if the weakest thing you can put in an email, if you are wanting to get the progress of some project or something, instead of just checking in, what would you use?
Well, I think you just be specific. Again, I don't have a problem with the word just checking in.
Oh, okay.
We had,
Nobody says don't use it. Yeah. They're just saying it's not powerful.
Hey, I'm checking back with you. Our deadline, was yesterday at 5. Just wanted to see if you need anything else from me to help get it completed.
Offering the help. That's good.
Right. Which is really kind of, I guess, it's not a trick. It's a coaching.
I've seen those emails before.
It's a coaching, rule. That's a...
You've been coached.
Jodi,
you shouldn't realize
Jodi thinks things are tricks. It cracks me up.
I don't know. No, I'm not really mean. I know that you're not trying to trick people, but I know you have techniques. You do. You have 100 management books at home. Don't tell me you haven't picked up a technique or two.
It's respect. Here's the thing about those books. If you read anything and you're using them as shortcuts, hacks, tricks, they're not going to work.
No.
And the reason they're not going to work is because you have to be your authentic self. You have to really understand them. There are a million books of the past that have things that you were supposed to memorize, and in a business meeting for sales, here's how you present, and you stop and you wait and you this and that. All that stuff, most of it is garbage.
Can't remember that.
Right. Well, I don't want to say most of it's garbage. In today's world, people see through things that are not authentic. So none of it should be a trick. It should be just fundamentals. Honestly, to me, good leadership, most of the stuff is what you learned as a kid in school or in church or wherever you learned your fundamentals. Your grandmother. I guess my grandmother, honestly, was one of those that really taught me some incredible values. So all you're doing is making sure you incorporate your personal values into what you do as a leader. That's the way it should be done. I know that's not what if you want words and emails, I'll tell you the weak ones. And this would be an in-person meeting too. If you're asking somebody when you expect a project to be done and they come back and say, I hope is not a good word to put in.
That's not a good answer.
It's non-committal. And, and actually it's one of our way high ups in the company, Hartley, says here, hope is not a strategy. And it's true. Hope doesn't accomplish anything. And so if your supervisor is asking you for something specific, I hope to, I'm thinking, it's possible.
You need to answer specifically.
Yeah. Another thing is, saying that, it's busy. Well, everybody's busy. Busy doesn't mean that it's irrelevant. Yes, you're busy. But that's not a reason, or it's
right.
So you just have to be careful about little words like that appear to be excuses, or
those
really non-committal. That's the big
sure.
one. Yeah.
God, good stuff. See, you do have a lot of good techniques.
It's not a technique.
I hope everybody got something out of that.
I'm picking on you.
Missed any part of the show? Get it all on the Murphy, Sam, and Jodi podcast.